The blinding lights hit me the moment I walked through my apartment door. Camera crews, boom mics, and strangers with clipboards filled my normally quiet living room. My furniture had been rearranged into some kind of intervention-style circle, and there, in the center, sat my entire family wearing matching concerned expressions. Surprise! You're going on Family Intervention Live. My sister Kayla shouted, her voice dripping with fake enthusiasm. The cameras swiveled to capture my shocked face. What the hell? And there's that anger we talked about. My mother interjected smoothly, turning to a woman with perfectly coiffed hair who I assumed was the host. You see what we deal with, Dr. Patricia? Dr. Patricia. Of course it was Dr. Patricia, host of the trashiest intervention show on television, stepped forward with her practiced sympathy face. Naomi, your family loves you very much. They're here because they're concerned about your behavior. Won't you sit down so we can talk? My behavior? I remained frozen in the doorway, keys still in my hand. You broke into my apartment. We have a key, sweetheart, Dad said, as if that made it better. For emergencies. This isn't an emergency. This is an ambush. My brother Tyler, who hadn't spoken to me in 2 years except to ask for money, suddenly piped up. See, this is what we mean. The paranoia, the hostility. Naomi, you're sick. We just want to help. I scanned the room, taking in the full production. 3 camera operators, 2 sound technicians, the host, a producer with an iPad, and my family, all sitting there like they hadn't just violated every boundary I'd ever set. Get out, I said quietly. All of you, get out of my apartment. We're not going anywhere. Kayla stood up, and I noticed she was wearing full TV makeup. How long had they been planning this? Not until you admit you need help and agree to treatment. Treatment for what? Your obvious mental illness, Mom said, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue despite the absence of actual tears. The delusions, the antisocial behavior, the way you've cut us all off. I cut you off because you're toxic. I exploded. Because you steal from me, lie to me, and apparently, ambush me on national television. Dr. Patricia made a note on her clipboard. Explosive anger, persecution complex. Very interesting. I'm calling the police. I pulled out my phone, but Tyler was faster, snatching it from my hands. No phones during the intervention, he said. It's in the contract. What contract? I didn't sign any contract. That's when the producer stepped forward, a thick document in his hands. Actually, Ms. Hayes, we need you to sign this appearance release. Standard procedure. Just says you agree to be filmed and won't sue the network. I'm not signing anything. Get out before I. Before you what? Kayla challenged. Have another one of your episodes? Attack us like you did at Christmas? I threw you out of my apartment because you stole my credit card information. She's rewriting history, Mom told Dr. Patricia sadly. She does this. Creates these elaborate stories to justify her behavior. The producer thrust the contract at me again. Please, Ms. Hayes, just sign it so we can help you. Your family has gone to great lengths to arrange this intervention. Something in his eagerness made me pause. Instead of pushing past them all, I grabbed the contract and started reading. Really reading, not just skimming. The cameras kept rolling as I flipped through pages, my eyes widening with each paragraph. Participant agrees to undergo psychiatric evaluation. Network reserves the right to broadcast all footage. Family members will receive compensation of $50,000 upon completion of filming. But it was the last clause that made my blood run cold. Payment contingent upon participant being officially diagnosed with one or more of the following conditions: bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, or other severe mental illness requiring immediate hospitalization. I looked up at my family, the contract trembling in my hands. You've been planning to have me committed. That's not, Mom started. It's right here. I held up the contract, pointing to the clause. You get $50,000, but only if I'm diagnosed with severe mental illness. Only if I'm hospitalized. The producer tried to snatch the contract back, but I held it out of reach, continuing to read aloud. In the event that participant is deemed mentally competent, family compensation will be reduced to $1,000. The room had gone silent except for the whir of the cameras. So let me get this straight, I said, my voice deadly calm. You get 50 times more money if I'm declared insane. That's your incentive here. That's why you're all suddenly so concerned about my mental health. You're twisting things, Kayla said, but her voice wavered. We're worried about you. Worried about your payday, you mean? I turned to Dr. Patricia. Did you know about this? Is this how your show operates? Bribing families to have their relatives committed. Dr. Patricia's sympathy face flickered. The compensation structure is designed to. To what? Encourage false diagnoses? Incentivize families to lie. I pulled out my work phone, the one they didn't know about, and started recording. This is Naomi Hayes, and I am being held against my will in my apartment by a film crew and my family. They are attempting to force me to sign a contract that pays them $50,000 if I'm involuntarily committed to a psychiatric facility. Stop recording. The producer lunged for my phone, but I dodged him. I work for a law firm, I announced. I'm a paralegal at Brennan and Associates. My boss is Jennifer Brennan, who specializes in false imprisonment and medical malpractice. I'm sending her this video right now. She's lying, Mom said desperately. She doesn't have a job. She's delusional. Am I? I pulled up my work email, showing the screen to the nearest camera. Here's my company email. Here's an email from this morning about the Peterson case. Here's my office building security badge. But sure, tell everyone I'm delusional. The producer was on his phone now, speaking rapidly to someone. The camera operators were exchanging glances, and one had actually lowered his camera. You want to know why I cut you all off? I addressed my family, but made sure I was loud enough for the mics to catch. Mom, you opened credit cards in my name when I was 18. I'm still paying off debt from your shopping sprees. Dad, you sold my car while I was in college and kept the money. Told me it was stolen. Those are lies, Dad protested. I have the police report you filed. The fake one. I also have the sale record from the used car lot. I turned to Tyler. You stole my identity to get an apartment because your credit was shot. I almost got evicted from my own place because you never paid rent on yours. This is exactly what we mean, Kayla interrupted. These paranoid accusations. And you, I focused on her. You told my ex-boyfriend I was cheating on him because you wanted to date him yourself. I have the screenshots of your messages to him. To multiple guys I dated, actually. You have a pattern. The producer hung up his phone, his face pale. We need to go. Pack it up. Now. What? Dr. Patricia looked stunned. But we haven't even. Legal says abort. Immediately. This is a liability nightmare. He turned to my family. The deal's off. No payment. We're not airing any of this. You can't do that. Mom shrieked. We had an agreement. The agreement was contingent on her being mentally ill, the producer snapped. She clearly isn't. She has a job, documentation of your family's crimes, and she's recording everything. We're done here. The crew began hastily packing equipment. Dr. Patricia looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. Within minutes, they were fleeing my apartment like rats from a sinking ship. But my family remained, their plan in ruins. You ruined everything, Kayla spat. Do you know how much we needed that money? Then get jobs, I suggested. Like normal people. After everything we've done for you, Mom started. Everything you've done to me, I corrected. And it's all documented. Every forged signature, every stolen dollar, every lie. I've been building a file for years. You wouldn't dare. I already have. It's with my lawyer. If any of you come near me again, if you try another stunt like this, I'm pressing charges for everything. Identity theft, fraud, false imprisonment. False imprisonment? Dad scoffed. We're your family, who just tried to have me involuntarily committed for money. On national television. Do you have any idea how many laws you just broke? Tyler, always the quickest to sense danger, was already edging toward the door. We should go. Yes, I agreed. You should. And leave your key. Mom threw her key on the coffee table with shaking hands. You're making a mistake. Family is everything. Family doesn't sell each other out for reality TV money, I said. Family doesn't try to have each other institutionalized for profit. Family doesn't do any of the things you've done to me. One by one, they filed out, each pausing to deliver some parting shot about how I'd regret this, how I needed them, how I was destroying the family. When the door finally closed behind them, I sank onto my couch and called Jennifer my boss. Naomi, it's Saturday night. Is everything okay? I need a lawyer, I said. And possibly a restraining order. Several, actually. I explained everything. By the time I finished, Jennifer was already in full lawyer mode. First, change your locks tonight. Emergency locksmith. I don't care about the cost. Second, file a police report. False imprisonment, attempted fraud, trespassing. We'll let the DA sort out the exact charges. Third, document everything. Every message, every email, every interaction you've had with them. Already done, I said, looking at the file boxes in my closet. Years of evidence I'd hoped I'd never need. Good. And Naomi? I'm proud of you. What they did, using mental health stigma to try to profit off you. It's disgusting. We're going to make sure they never do this to anyone else. After we hung up, I sat in my ransacked living room, processing what had just happened. My family had literally tried to sell my sanity for $50,000. They'd been willing to have me locked up, medicated, labeled as crazy for the rest of my life, all for money. The saddest part? I wasn't even surprised. This was just the culmination of years of smaller betrayals, escalating to this grand finale of greed and deception. My phone buzzed with texts. Kayla, you're dead to us. Mom, I wish I'd never had you. Dad, don't come crying to us when you end up alone. Tyler, you cost us $50K. You owe us. I screenshotted each message, adding them to my evidence file. Then I blocked every single number. The locksmith arrived within an hour. As he changed my locks, he chatted about his daughter, who'd just started college. Normal conversation that felt surreal after the evening's events. You okay, miss? He asked as he handed me the new keys. You seem a bit shaken. Family drama, I said with a weak smile. Ah, he nodded knowingly. The worst kind. Well, these new locks should keep out anyone you don't want visiting. After he left, I made myself tea and sat by the window, watching the city lights. Somewhere out there, my family was probably plotting their next move, figuring out how to spin this to make me the villain. Let them. I had my truth, my evidence, and most importantly, my freedom. The next morning, I woke to find the attempted intervention had made the news. Not the footage. True to his word, the producer had killed the episode. But someone, probably a crew member, had leaked the story. Reality show canceled after family's scheme to have daughter committed for profit exposed. My phone rang with an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Ms. Hayes? This is Donna Matthews from Channel 9 News. We'd like to interview you about your experience. I hung up. Then it rang again. Different number, different reporter. By the 10th call, I turned it off entirely. Jennifer called on my work phone. The producer wants to settle. The show violated numerous regulations by attempting to film someone without consent for the purpose of false commitment. They're offering a substantial sum for your silence. I don't want their money, I said. I want them to change their practices. No more paying families to have people committed. We can demand both, Jennifer said. Policy changes and compensation. You've been through hell. You deserve something for that. As we discussed legal strategies, I realized something. My family had accused me of being paranoid, antisocial, delusional. But I'd been none of those things. I'd simply recognized who they were and protected myself accordingly. Every boundary I'd set, every precaution I'd taken, every piece of evidence I'd collected. It had all led to this moment where their masks finally slipped on camera, where their greed overcame their ability to pretend they cared about me. They'd wanted $50,000 for declaring me insane. Instead, they'd proven that the only madness in our family was their willingness to destroy me for profit. The settlement negotiations took 3 months. The show agreed to change their compensation structure, implement new consent protocols, and pay me enough to ensure I'd never have to worry about the debts my family had created in my name. I donated half to mental health advocacy groups, organizations fighting against the exact kind of stigma and exploitation my family had tried to use against me. The restraining orders were granted. The criminal charges are still pending. My family has tried reaching out through various flying monkeys, always with the same message. Family forgives. Come home. But I am home. In my apartment with its new locks, surrounded by the life I built despite their sabotage. Working at a job they said I'd never get, sane and stable and thriving. They say the best revenge is living well. But sometimes, the best revenge is simply refusing to play your assigned role in someone else's twisted script. My family wanted me to be the crazy daughter, the problem child, the one who needed fixing. Instead, I'm the one who got away. The one who exposed them. The one who chose truth over their toxic version of family. And I've never been saner.